transit buses and trains, so pitch in. Take pride in your ride and take your trash off with you when you get off at your stop. You'll find trash bins at every metro station. Want to help clean up transit stops in your neighborhood? Join the hundreds who volunteer to adopt a stop and keep it picked up. Learn more at metrotransit.org/adopt-a-stop. That's metrotransit.org/adopt-a-stop. It's back to school time, which means getting back to school ready. One important thing to add to your to-do list this year is making sure your child is up to date on their vaccinations. Getting vaccinated will help your family avoid missing out on school, activities, work, family events, and vacation. Keep your family healthy by talking with your healthcare provider or visiting our free vaccination clinics in Minneapolis. Visit the City of Minneapolis website and search for vaccine clinics. A message from the Minneapolis Health Department.
It will be back to school before you know it, making this a great time to help your child get up to date on all their immunizations, including the MMR vaccine. The MMR vaccine is safe and effective and is the best way to protect your child from measles. Hennepin County Public Health is hosting free vaccine clinics for children ages 0 through 18 this summer and fall. No registration is necessary. Our next vaccine clinic is on Saturday, August 24th at Hosmer Library. Learn more by visiting hennepin.us/immunizations.
Hi, I'm Chuck Manette, owner of Native Concrete and Masonry. With concrete and masonry adding substantial value to your home, it's always a great idea to repair your sidewalks or just add a beautiful new patio. Cracks or heaving in your sidewalks due to tree roots can be dangerous. Native Concrete and Masonry has helped clients across the metro to make their outdoor space safer and helped increase the value to their homes. For patios, sidewalks, driveways, or garage slabs, go to nativeconcretemasonry.com.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy, but with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Clear tonight with a low of 59, then Thursday, sunshine with a high of 77. Governor Tim Walz headlines tonight's coverage of the Democratic National Convention starting here on AM 950 at 7 o'clock. Dom and Crute from the Devil's Advocates will take you through the entire evening until coverage wraps up. That's right here on AM 950 at 7 o'clock.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, any cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake. Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. We discuss local, national, Native news and events. And as you know, Chujunk, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
Yes, you are right, Daga. And this segment of Native Roots Radio is presented in partnership with Little Moments Count, which is a statewide collaborative focused on helping parents and caregivers learn about the importance of brain development in the first 3 years of life. For more information, you can visit littlemomentscount.org.
Hey, here at Native Roots Radio, we're excited to be partnering with Little Moments Count and to host conversations focused on early childhood development. We bring guests on monthly to talk about how they view their role of early childhood development and creating bright futures and strong communities. And tonight, or I guess it is tonight, we have Lucy. Lucy, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Who's you? My name is Lucy Arias, and I'm a longtime early childhood educator and currently work at the Department of Education in Minnesota.
And I love the Minnesota Department of Education, being a former teacher. Welcome, and Thank you for all those variances over the years. Just kidding. Great to have you on. Let's get with it here. You're a early language and literacy specialist, and was previously the preschool development grant tribal nations lead at the Minnesota Department of Education. And you have a BS in child psychology, an MED in parent and family education from the University of Minnesota. Go Gophers. I'm a grad there too. Your career in early childhood spans 30 years and includes classroom teacher, program director, research, family education advocacy, and early childhood care and education. I want to start out with a quick question. And one thing I want to really emphasize too while we're talking is that you were boots on the ground being in a classroom, and that's a huge thing. But start, with your extensive experience in early childhood education. Can you explain why the first 1,000 days of a child's life is so critical for language development?
Well, for anybody who's worked with little kids, you know that their learning is so dynamic during those first months, first years of their life. I mean, they go from being this little person who enters the world um, so dependent on everybody around them to by the time they're 3, being pretty self sufficient. If you think about it, they can get themselves food, they know how to communicate. So that first 1,000 days of life is just such a dynamic time of learning. And anybody who's observed children or been with children, you've seen that. But now we have the brain science to match. We literally can do the scans to see what's going on in little babies' brains, and it's just like springtime in the plants, right? That's literally it's
Mhm.
springtime in a baby's brain, and that is the time that we have the greatest opportunity to really lay the foundation for their whole lives, and not just
It's
language and learning. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because when you're brought up in a language or a house with two languages, you can see that it seems like it takes them a little longer to say their first words because they're processing both languages, whether it's Ho Chunk or Dakota Lakota or any other language, Spanish and once their brains do connect and kick in, they speak both languages. It's an amazing thing.
It is. And I think that's one thing we take for granted with little children is that they are they're just conduits of learning. And when I was a family educator, I always told families, your babies are geniuses. Just observe them a little bit and you will see it. And it's true. They may start using their first words, but it's mostly because they're making sense of it, right? They hear two different
Mhm,
languages and they actually want to know to say the right language at the right time. So they're doing something very complex, quite honestly, if you
mhm.
think about it. And then when it does connect, they run with it and it'll be their whole life.
Exactly. Hey, how can parents and caregivers effectively, support language learning in the early years, especially throughout everyday activities like reading, signing, and playing, or singing and playing?
Well, this is going to seem a little counterintuitive, but be good observers. Pay attention to what they're playing with or what they pause and look at, because that's where their interest lies. That's where their skills are. And then add the language to it, right? So if they're sitting by the window and they're watching the squirrels, we'll talk about the squirrels, sing about the squirrels, find books about squirrels, right? So
Mm.
really that's the first thing, to be good observers of our babies, right? And then
Yeah.
listen because they're communicating. If we observe and listen to them, they're communicating long before they have words. And then later comes that engagement with them to give words to what they're observing or give words to what they're doing. So it would be observe, listen, and then engage and begin those back and forth language opportunities with our children.
That's something teachers and adults could look at with their older children too, because I know I had many different interests, and my parents really fed those interests, and even into my teens, they really supported it. So it starts with early childhood learning, but the caregivers and parents really need to be, oh, like I'm a lifelong learner, but they need to be a lifelong learner for their student or their child.
Oh my gosh, because we can learn as much from children as they learn from us. So that is 100% true.
Right on. Hey, what role does culture and context, particularly in our native community, play in early language development?
Well, I've been thinking about that one a lot, and I think it's really going back to our teachings, right? That children are gifts. I think that's important to remember that they're here for us as much as we're there for them. Um, and in addition to that, thinking of who all surrounds the child as being teachers to the child, right? It's just not mom. It's just not the teacher at the school. It's everyone. It's aunties, uncles, older siblings that we all have a role in being the educator for children. And so really looking at, I hate to use it's so colloquial, but the whole village, right? And that it's all our roles to be that educator for our children.
Yeah, well, how can we ensure that? That's how can we as caregivers? I'm a choka now. I'm a grandfather and parents. How can they ensure that we can get some cultural relevant a relevant support?
Well, look close, right? Like I exist in the world and there's so many other educators and sometimes it's not the teachers, it's not the whatever. Like I always tell people that one of the greatest educators I ever had is my cousin. She's about the same age as me. She just sees the world a little differently and I've learned so much from her. So it's always looking for learn teachings that surround us, right? Um, and so culturally, if we think more tangibly culturally, like we a lot of our life rotated around the environment and so what was going outside our windows and so really drawing on that because that's what children are observing and interacting with and that would be the easiest conduit of teaching, I would say, and would be very culturally aligned to who we were or and are as indigenous peoples.
Yeah, right on. I know you talked a little bit about this, but what your experience, what's the most effective strategies to encourage literacy? You talked about watching the children, but in children under 3, is there more strategies that we can help support our caregivers and parents?
Give them opportunities to explore and to learn, right? A lot of times we want to keep our kids safe, but in reality, the greatest learning comes from when they stumble or when they break something, right? Because then we can teach them so much more. And if we think of language and literacy, we just don't show them, we tell them. And so
Mhm.
that starts from birth. Often we'll be like, ooh, 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 baby, no, talk to them. They're little spirits. They understand us, right? So talk to them
Mhm.
and share with them everything we know because they hear us and it's going into their brains and into who they are. And so then always treat them as that conversational partner and as that learner.
Do these strategies differ from working with families in the native communities?
You know, I I would say that for somebody who's worked with all families, I would say no. But at the same time, when I get to be in a space with Native families, I get to be my genuine self or my authentic self, right? I don't put on researcher Lucy hat or teacher Lucy hat. I get to be myself and use humor. Humor is a big part of that, and really drawing on their own experiences as parents and as learners themselves. Um,
Hey, right,
so
right
yeah,
on. We got to take a quick break. I've gone over. This is just so interesting. Hey, we're with Lucy Little Wolf Arias, and we're talking about early childhood development. This is Native Roots Radio presents. I'm awake.
If the statistics say that 1 in 3 Native women and 1 in 6 Native men have experienced sexual assault in their lifetime, it means our whole community is affected by sexual violence. 1 is too many. Don't stand by, stand up. Don't engage in acts of sexual violence, and shut down the dirty jokes, the gossip, the victim blaming and shaming. As a community, we can change the way we respond. Contact the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition to attend a workshop to learn more.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
It's back to school time, which means getting back to school ready. One important thing to add to your to-do list this year is making sure your child is up to date on their vaccinations. Getting vaccinated will help your family avoid missing out on school, activities, work, family events, and vacation. Keep your family healthy by talking with your healthcare provider or visiting our free vaccination clinics in Minneapolis. Visit the City of Minneapolis website and search for vaccine clinics. A message from the Minneapolis Health Department.
Hi, it's Robert Pilot from Native Roots Radio. If you need new windows for your home or business, I highly recommend 952 Windows. They offer windows and doors with the longest warranties and Energy Star's #1 most efficient ratings. I can personally vouch for them, having known the owner for decades. They did a fantastic job on our second floor addition 20 years ago, installing windows, roofing, siding, and even adding a master bedroom and bathroom. 952 Windows is part of Loyal Home, founded by some of the Ethics award-winning former Window Light employees. In my opinion, they're one of the most best-kept secrets in remodeling. As Onyx Bath and Rosebud cabinet dealers, 952 Windows guarantees top-quality products. Most of their business comes from referrals, so much so that they have been called the best-kept secret in remodeling by their competitors. For unbeatable deals and trusted service on windows, doors, roofing, siding, kitchens, bathrooms, and more, call 952 Windows or visit 952windows.com.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This segment of Native Roots Radio is presented in partnership with Little Moments Count. Nearly 80% of brain growth happens in the first 1,000 days, and small moments of interaction like talking, playing, reading, and singing help create pathways that build a child's brain during this early stage of life.
Wow, here we're with Lucy and Arias, and early language and literacy specialists of Minnesota Department of Education, and we're having a really pretty cool conversation here. Welcome back. Can you share some insights from your time as a preschool development grant tribal lead in the Minnesota Department of Education? You know, particularly in how early language and literacy initiatives were tailored to meet the needs of tribal nations.
Sure. Well, the preschool development grant was unique in the fact that they wanted to ensure that Native communities were supported through this federal grant. So they hired me to be that sort of liaison within state government, but also to partner with different tribal organizations and tribal nations in who received the funding. So I really was their advocate on the outside, but on the inside. And a lot of the programs were early childhood focused, or the majority of them were. And either it was early childhood programming or language immersion. So yeah, and so I was there to be a thought partner, a specialist, one could say, but really brought my years of experience to them to support them in the work that they were doing. And it's important, you know, my title's like language and literacy, but the basis of literacy is language, right? If from our words, we learn to read those words, we learn to write those words, we learn to communicate, all those different things, which is literacy, really starts at language, and supporting programs that support families and children in those first years are literacy programs and language programs.
Yeah, you know, and I really like this question. You know, how can singing and storytelling, which is, you know, traditional practices of most Native communities, be leveraged to promote language development and early literacy in our young children?
Wow, hats off to our storytellers, right? They're our knowledge keepers, right? They're sharing stories that have been handed down through the generations that are not only just stories, but they're teachings, and there's deep knowledge in those stories. Um, and it's really interesting because I like science, but I also like the generational knowledge or the cultural knowledge that we know. And it's interesting because if you do brain scans of when children hear a story from a storyteller versus hearing a story from a storybook, different things go on in their brains, right? And then when you hear a story, you're actually visualizing it. Versus when you got a storybook, you're looking at the pictures. So you're more focused on looking versus hearing. And so it's actually a richer experience to sit and listen to a story, right? So I think that is just like that. When I learned that fact, I was like, wow. But I think about it for myself. I remember those stories my grandma told, and maybe not traditional stories, but the stories she told about when she was little. Like they're just vivid in
Hmm.
my memory. And so there's such importance to storytelling. And if you think about drums and singing, to repeat a beat and to remember that beat, that's like a complex skill. And so it lends into so much other skills that children need later in life.
Yeah, the power of the drum. You're right, and the singing that goes along with that, and singing to your young ones. That is really powerful. What are the potential long-term, like, impacts on child education, a child educational journey if they're not to receive adequate language and literacy support during those first 1,000 days?
Oh, geez. I don't like that question because I believe in the human spirit and and resiliency and all those good things, right? That people have the capacity to learn to, just like you were saying, we're lifelong learners, right?
Mhm.
But I think during those first 1,000 days, we need to really pay attention because some children are going to need more support, right? Um, Not all children are born the same. Not all children are born with the same skills. So for during those first 1,000 days, we really need to be observers and very sensitive to know if they're learning at the rate they should be learning, right? And if we miss that window, it doesn't mean it closes. It just means it gets littler versus in those first 1,000 days, that window's wide open, right? If that's a good analogy.
Mhm.
But as time goes on, that window closes, right? And it never 100% closes, but we know if it's hot out and we want a nice breeze coming in, the window's open only a crack, only a little bit of that cool breeze is going to come in. And so that's the same with learning, right? It still can come in and still can impact the child and things like that, but we want to do it during those first 1,000 when that window's wide open, when because they were born to learn. They were born to
Right.
listen and learn and do all the good things that they're capable of doing.
Yeah, sorry about that question. I just think it's kind of a reminder too that, it's how important it is because when our young ones start school and have a good vocabulary and a good way of listening and learning, they're way ahead. And so I just want to emphasize how important what you're speaking about today and what little our program is talking about is really important. So yeah, I get
No,
what
no, I
you're saying.
appreciate the question, but sometimes people think it's too late, and I never want people to think it's too late. But I have a thought. Let me just put it together. Just did a couple of things. Is that is that we need to really not think, oh, they'll catch up, or oh, they're just little, they don't need to know that, or when they're little, they sleep all the time. I don't need to engage with them as much, or all the things we do when they're little, right? When in reality, that's the time they need the most of us.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, you've been doing this for 30 years in the field, and what is some of the most significant changes you've seen in how we approach early child education?
Well, it's kind of funny when I was just getting into the field because I kind of got there by accident, but I was at dinner with my uncle who was a principal of a school. And he said, "Why are you doing that? You're just babysitting little kids." He used that "just" word in there, like my role didn't matter. And I think, and we still have a lot of work to go, but I think more and more people are recognizing that monument, that just important first 1,000 days, that first 5 years, that first 8 years, and really recognizing that that's our opportunity as adults to really to create that foundation for children so they can go on and really achieve the things they're meant to achieve in this world.
Wow, that's heavy. And what do you see for the future of our children, in particular, Native American and our Native American communities?
It's a beautiful thing. It really truly is. And maybe because I'm getting older and I'm getting to be that grandma age, I see the brilliance. I see it every day in our young people and in our babies. I see the genius and the brilliance, and it seems to be like more and more. I don't know if I'm more appreciative of it because I'm getting old, but I see it and I feel it and I feel the energy. And I think also our community is remembering that teaching that our babies are a gift more and more, and just so many initiatives and so many good people out there doing the work. Because 30 years ago there was some Head Start teachers. There was, a few. I mean, if you've been a teacher for a while, there was a few Native teachers out there, right? But there's just seems
Mhm.
like there's a swell of more of us who really, really recognize. We've always known the importance of education, but there's more of us and seeing our place there in the systems.
Yeah, a really great point. And we can go with lawyers. Of people are professional, and there's many more people that are in those fields because of education and how we connect as Native people now in early education. I want to just give you a big peeny gigi thank you so much for coming on. Again, we had you on a while ago, and it's great to see you again.
Miigwech, I'm glad to join you guys here today.
Right on. Hey, we'll be right back with Bob Blake from Red Lake talking about Solar Bear with the Solar News. This is Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States.
And 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected.
Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf.
Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy.
As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired.
Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl. J&S Bean Factory is a Native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Join the community spirit at Four Sisters Farmers Market, a seasonal hub for cultural placemaking, food access, and Indigenous values. Four Sisters Farmers Market has always emphasized their commitment to the community and inclusivity, accepting SNAP and EBT benefits. Stop by and get affordable, healthy, and culturally appropriate local food. Four Sisters Farmers Market is open Thursdays 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. and is located on the American Indian Cultural Corridor off of Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis. Discover more about Four Sisters Farmers Market on their social media accounts.
Discover the emotional depth and vivid storytelling of Jay White's Arikara Proper at All My Relations Arts in Minneapolis. This solo exhibition celebrates Arikara culture through the lens of an urban Indian perspective. Experience themes of empowerment, depictions of Native women, stars, and star quilts within White's vibrant acrylic paintings. Arikara Proper is showing now through October 5th at All My Relations Arts in Minneapolis. Get inspired by Jay White's powerful storytelling on canvas. Details at allmyrelationsarts.org.
It's back to school time, which means getting back to school ready. One important thing to add to your to-do list this year is making sure your child is up to date on their vaccinations. Getting vaccinated will help your family avoid missing out on school, activities, work, family events, and vacation. Keep your family healthy by talking with your healthcare provider or visiting our free vaccination clinics in Minneapolis. Visit the City of Minneapolis website and search for vaccine clinics. A message from the Minneapolis Health Department.
Bonjour, hello. My name is Wabin. I am an enrolled member of the White Earth Nation, descendant of the Navajo Nation, and co-chair of the Indigenous Employee Resource Group with the Minnesota Department of Transportation. MnDOT is hiring for a variety of positions from road maintenance to accounting and more. We offer great benefits. For more information or to set up a one-on-one resume and application assistance, visit mn.gov/careers, or you can text or call 612-257-2388. 612-257-2388.
AM 950 KTN up, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Everyone likes a litter-free ride on Metro Transit buses and trains, so pitch in. Take pride in your ride and take your trash off with you when you get off at your stop. You'll find trash bins at every Metro station. Want to help clean up transit stops in your neighborhood? Join the hundreds who volunteer to adopt a stop and keep it picked up. Learn more at metrotransit.org/adopt-a-stop. That's metrotransit.org/adopt-a-stop. With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Clear tonight with a low of 59, then Thursday, sunshine with a high of 77. Maverick's Real Roast Beef is an East Metro treasure with the best roast beef sandwiches you'll find anywhere and so much more. Maverick's is located in Roseville on Lexington Avenue, 1 mile south of Highway 36. Visit their website at mavericksbeef.com.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Native American Community Clinic on Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis, honoring health and tradition.
Yes, they do. Thanks, Haley. Hey, we have our friend Bob Blake of Solar Bear with the Solar News. We haven't talked to you in a while. And I just got back, Bob, from the DNC, Hoa, and we were hanging out there.
Wow, Robert, that is awesome. Yeah, that stuff looks pretty exciting. What's happening down there in Chicago? The Solar Bear will be on they'll have a segment of me on the DNC next hour. So they came up here. They filmed me today. We got the shot in. It was supposed to be live. It got changed at the last minute because they said that the whole thing isn't running right on time the way it's supposed to be. So they didn't want like us in these remote locations standing for hours trying to wait for our time to talk. So they filmed our part today, but they're gonna say it's live. But everyone, I'm telling you, it ain't live.
So wait a minute now. I know like the DNC plays videos, and so you're going to be at the big screen during the convention.
Yeah. It's going to look like a conversation between me and Mayor Williamson, and what it is, it's a focus on 3 small businesses across the country that have benefited from policies that were implemented by the Biden-Harris administration.
Wow, very cool. They should have flew you down. Come on.
Well, what was funny is when they first asked me, I told them, I said, okay, so I'm in a documentary. I got to be in this documentary that Patagonia is doing. And then I have to fly out to Seattle on Thursday. Tomorrow morning, I have to fly to Seattle tomorrow morning. And then I have to go to the Black Heart here after we get done with this for the launch of the Future Fund, which is this is Bob Lake acting as just a regular citizen out here. But I am on the board of directors for the Future Fund, and we are a political action committee, supporting candidates that are running for office here in the state of Minnesota that are believers in renewable energy and climate change and, those things that we believe that we want at that policy level. So that's exactly what the Future Fund is all about. And we are having the launch party tonight at the Black Heart on University Avenue.
Wow, right on. Hey, and you know what else is happening this week? That's why I had to come back from Chicago. Is State Fair is happening the next week, and we'll have Native Roots Arts open and a lot of swag. So come on out there, and I'm working for my Weeha, my second daughter, because she can't work it this year, so I am working it, stepping in and working a few days, and then Haley and I are gonna do the show live out there, and, it's just gonna be a beautiful thing at the state fair, but, Bob, hopefully you come back, and check out the state fair. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So Solar Bear and Native Son will be at the State Fair at the Care 11 Barn tomorrow during their community segment at noon. So if y'all want to stop on out and get some Native Son Solar Bear swag, we'll have that out there for folks that will be in the crowd. And then
Nice.
we'll be talking about electric vehicles, renewable energy, and how cool is this Inflation Reduction Act and all the cool stuff that's happening.
I'll send someone over there and get some swag, and then we'll put it in our store and sell it. Oh, wow.
But Robert,
Yeah.
let's get to the Solar Bear with the solar news,
Right on, do it.
because there is a great article out today that talks about the Democratic platform, because this is what's happening right now, and it talks about how the Democratic platform emphasizes the economic case for climate action. And I think what's really kind of interesting about this, right, Robert, and it was in the Hill today. It was in the Hill today. And it talks about, basically how, the Inflation Reduction Act has created hundreds of thousands of jobs already, but how the economic case for future generations, Robert, for future generations that have to deal with climate change, and and how the Inflation Reduction Act is going to help propel these new jobs for the future workforce in the United States. And this is what the Democratic platform is. This is what they're talking down there at the DNC. So I think this is really cool, Robert. And unfortunately, if the other folks get in power, they have all but said that they are going to destroy everything that has been built up by this administration currently, and all the good work that they've done around climate change. So I think this is a really interesting article. I suggest everybody to check it out. It's in the Hill. It's today, and it just talks about it says the 2024 Democratic platform emphasizes the economic case for climate action, and it's such a great read, and it has so much good information in there. But I suggest everyone to check it out, because it really does speak about the future.
Wow, that is that's crazy too. That we really have accumulated so many reasons to vote blue, and just destroying this momentum that we have had going, and you've been talking about for years here on Native Roots Radio.
And Robert, how cool is it that Governor Walz is going to be the next vice president? Okay, now we have not won. That's not won yet. Okay, I'm just saying. Listen, everyone. Solar Bear knows too much about climate change, and he doesn't want to know everything that he knows. But I want to tell you all right now that Solar Bear actually has hope, because if Harris and Walz get in office, there's no stopping this now. I believe, have a chance. And Robert, just how we reversed the ozone layer from depleting, we're going to stop climate change, and that's what's going to happen. And I am so dedicated to this work, and I always tell people, Solar Bear is going to be putting up a solar panel, and that's probably how I'm going to die. because I'm just going to be doing what I love, right? But but honestly, Robert, this is what we need. This is the juice that we need, the shot in the arm. And so kudos to President Biden. That man is incredible. He has done nothing but good things for the planet, for the country, for the world. And I'm just saying that we really need to get behind behind Harrison Walz this election, because, like I said in this article that the Hill put out today, it is so important to the future of this planet and to the country and to democracy, everyone, to democracy.
We got to get our friends out to vote because we outnumber them, and we just got to remember that. And I'll probably be voting early so I can drive people to the poll in my car. And so, well, one of the things too, Bob, it's really exciting too, where things trickle down governmental. We'll have a first Native American woman governor.
Are you kidding me, Robert? Are you kidding me? I am so proud of Lieutenant Governor Flanagan. This is going to be incredible. Like, this is just like icing on the cake, right? Like, not only are we going to get, like, you know, our first female president, right? I mean, we're also going to get the first Native American, governor, like, ever. And I mean, this could not be any better. So I'm super excited about this. We need to get out in the polls and vote. We can't take anything for granted. We gotta keep our foot on the pedal, and make sure that you speak to everyone that you can. 10 people, tell them to get out and vote. Support, political action communities like the Future Fund, where we are targeting areas in which we feel as though that are going to be, teetering, could go either way. And so we're going to be targeting those districts and those candidates. And so please support that. And like I said, just get out there and get everyone to vote. I've been donating like crazy. The Solar Bear money has been going out all over the place, Robert.
Yeah,
but I believe it's so important, and it's just really worth it.
Definitely. And, one of the things that we can do also, because I've learned in my older age here is that I can't be a one issue voter, is that we are more likely to move this next administration more to the progressive things. And that's what's really exciting for me too, because there's no way we'd get anything done. Trump's second day in office, he signed the bill for Dakota Access Pipeline to start up again. I mean, these are the things that we're dealing with, and at least with the Democrats, we can push them more to where we want to go too.
And you know what, Robert? This is all about Harrison Walz the next 8 years, and then after that, Governor Walz as the president for those 8 years, and then it rolls right into AOC and Secretary Buttigieg. Man, that's the future that I see, and that's the future that I want, because that's the future that's going to get things done for Americans and quite honestly for the world and for our democracy.
Well, yeah, we lead the world, and again, I am not a one issue voter, and we need to support the juice and also help guide them in a good way with these energy policies.
Yeah, no, Robert, and that's what's really exciting, is that the policies that are being put down, that have been implemented by this administration, will flow into the next. But people, it ain't going to happen if we don't get out and vote. We got to keep the pedal keep our foot on the pedal. And I'm just super excited. And that's the Solar News with the Solar Bear.
Oh, thanks, Bob Blake. Good to see you. All right, and we'll look for you tonight on the DNC live feed. Hey, this is Native Roots Radio, and we'll be back right after this short break. See ya.
It's back to school time, which means getting back to school ready. One important thing to add to your to-do list this year is making sure your child is up to date on their vaccinations. Getting vaccinated will help your family avoid missing out on school, activities, work, family events, and vacation. Keep your family healthy by talking with your healthcare provider or visiting our free vaccination clinics in Minneapolis. Visit the City of Minneapolis website and search for vaccine clinics. A message from the Minneapolis Health Department.
Discover the emotional depth and vivid storytelling of Jay White's Arikara proper at All My Relations Arts in Minneapolis. This solo exhibition celebrates Arikara culture through the lens of an urban Indian perspective. Experience themes of empowerment, depictions of Native women, stars, and star quilts within White's vibrant acrylic paintings. Arikara proper is showing now through October 5th at All My Relations Arts in Minneapolis. Get inspired by Jay White's powerful storytelling on canvas. Details at allmyrelationsarts.org.
No one should have to choose between a paycheck and their health. Whether it's for a new baby, an unexpected illness, or an aging parent, Minnesotans deserve time to care for themselves and their families. That's why Minnesota Democrats are fighting for all working people to have paid family and medical leave. The time is now. Contact your legislator and tell them to pass paid family and medical leave for Minnesota. Learn more at paidleavemn.org. That's paidleavemn.org. Paid for by the Minnesota AFL-CIO.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Hi, this is Governor Walz. Thank you for listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
How? Wow, that was a good howl.
It was.
Right on. Hey, so what do you got going on here? You're going on vacation soon, well deserved, and then we got the fair, so that'll wear you out. Broadcasting live out there. Really excited to come back from the DNC. You know, one of the things I really want to talk about a little bit is that we really need to, and we've talked about this, Haley, too, really educate our young ones about civics, you know, about not being afraid of politicians, and see them eye to eye as people, and then you'll feel more apt to vote and be in part of the process.
Yeah, it's really all about humanizing them. I remember being a kid and I only had like one civics class, and that was in high school, probably for half a year, not even the full year. But that was really the only class where we dug into, you know, what voting is and the different types of elections you can vote in. But yeah, it's, you know, as a kid, you're like, oh, those are politicians and they're like famous people and I'm never going to be able to talk to them. But the more that, you know, you develop relationships with people in these positions, the more that you humanize them and the more likely you are to be able to discuss topics. Even if you don't agree, you know, it's easier to have those conversations and just humanize everything, focus on the needs of what both people are looking for. And yeah, civics just needs to be taught more in general.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, like you said, these people put their pants on the same way as everybody else, and you can go talk to them up at the Capitol. You can talk about policy, and you know, I'm talking about local, and you can differ from them. I remember, you know, when Line 3 happened here up in Minnesota, and Peggy Flanagan wrote that rebuttal about Walz. But again, I'm big picture. I'm not one issue voter, and it's important to remember that my vote has become more mature over the years, and we're looking at the big picture and how we can move our politicians to a good way.
Yeah. And I remember there was this something, I think it was a tribal chairman of Red Lake at the opening of the Red Lake College here in Minneapolis. And he said that, you know, our young students and the next generation coming up, we're still fighting the same battles, but there's a different type of way that we have to fight these battles. It's not coming in guns ablazing, focused on one, don't get me wrong, very important topic and an issue. But also we have to come into these battles in a different way and in an intellectual way, in a smart way. It's not, you know, it's it may be one battle, but the war is long, and there are many, many things, to be working on.
I'm glad you brought that up. That hit me when he said that. That's a good young memory.
Thanks.
Because I do remember that once you said that.
Yeah, yeah, and it really was like, wow, yeah, we, can't. Of course, we need to be frontline and protesting these important issues, but also we need people who can run the long battle and be lawyers or be doctors, be these people in these spaces, be politicians, run for office.
Right.
And one thing that has always stuck with me that Representative Heather Keeler has said, and Senator Mary Kunesh has been on the show every Friday, and they say, we have our doors open. We want to talk to people. We want to hear from, the people that we represent. So, don't be afraid to go to their office, call them, email them, and hold them accountable. That's what they're there for.
Well, and they like that too. And not only our native ones, but everyone welcomes to come in and have a civil conversation. And they can't know everything, and to be able to articulate your concerns in a good way. And then you knock the door down and protest
Yeah.
if they don't
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah. It's,
And that's the old AIM way too, American Indian movement. You tap on the door, and if they don't open the door, and you keep on tapping louder and louder, and then you knock the door down. And that was then in the 60s and 70s, and now we're a lot smarter, and we're ingrained in government and policy, and with our own politicians too. So we're doing it a lot smarter. But every once in a while, you got to pull out that protest sign and speak your mind and your truth, and they listen.
Yeah. Yep. And it's, not, of course, boots on the ground work matters, intensely. But you also have to remember some people may be working secretively or, in a different way that you may not be able to notice that, or, people just work in different ways.
Yeah, that is a really good point. And I know with every form of government, including government I work with, there is things that are talked about in a good way that can't get out right away. So there is that too, and you have to negotiate and do things behind closed doors in order to get some stuff going. So,
Right.
that
Well, in this election too, when we have such contrasts like this between political parties, it's very clear to see who, like Bob Blake was just saying in the last segment, who is more likely to be able to take these progressive policies and put them in place. I mean, we look at the Republican Party right now, and absolutely not would Donald Trump do anything to, stop pipelines or, go into renewable energy. He's really, there's a party that's for people and for positive change, and then there's the other one that's not.
Yeah, and still trying to figure out what they're for, because I know what they're against, and they show it with their disrespect to women, to people that aren't like them, to BIPOC people. And that was one of the things that at the DNC is that we had the whole Rainbow Coalition that we talked about in the 80s and 90s are really happening now. And it's really good to see. And it's just going to get better and better as long as we show up and speak our truth.
Yep, you're exactly right. Well, hey, back to school is coming up, and there's a really cool thing going on at one of our favorite spots, Robert, on Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis. You want to guess the place?
Maria's Cafe?
Close. It's close to it. Powwow Grounds Cafe. Come on. Iconic Powwow Grounds Cafe. There's going to be a music festival and backpack giveaway, back to school jams. Keith Sokola, good old Uncle Keith, will be there performing. Yes. This is this Saturday, August 24th at Powwow Grounds in Minneapolis, 1414 East Franklin Avenue. It is a free concert, open to the public from 3 to 6 p.m. Keith Sokola will be there with Chaz Wagner. It's Lil Lee, Joe Big Bear, Mateus Big Bear, and Jada Brown, our friend.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll have to, definitely get out there to Powwow Grounds. There's going to be music food, school supplies, and more. Free school supplies makes all the difference to families in our community. We want our young ones to start out the school year just, strong and confident and ready to learn. So this is this Saturday, August 24th, 3 to 6 p.m. at Powwow Grounds in Minneapolis Music Festival with Keith Secola.
Save me one of those indigenous backpacks. Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm excited. It'll be fun. And then if you're going to be at the fair, make sure to come check out Native Roots Trading Post in the West End Market. And then this Sunday is Indigenous Peoples Day at the fair.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you for mentioning that. We'll be out there. And on Sunday, I'll be walking around aimlessly, but I'll make it there. And that's when our kids, not your and my kids, our kids will be at the Native Roots Trading Post. And so stop by, get a t-shirt, say hello, and we'll be doing live broadcasts from there. So that'll be fun. And it's always cool. It's always cool too. So it's great. Stop by and say hi, and we'll get you on the show, because I don't know if we have any guests lined up, but there's going to be a lot of people coming in and out, and stop in and get a t-shirt and be a guest.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
We look forward to seeing you out there.
Right on. Good one there, Haley. Chujunk. Hey, if you're listening to this show, you're part of the resistance from Chief Plentycoops. The ground on which we stand on is sacred ground. It is the blood of our ancestors. We need to resist, divest, join a group, run for office, and vote. We're still here. We are the 7th generation.
And free Leonard Peltier now. The city of Minneapolis is